Welcome back to Midnight Movie Club and my review of Son. When her son falls to a mysterious illness, Laura, played by Andy Matichack, must decide as a mother how far she is willing to go to protect him. As her very haunting, disturbing past creeps up on her, so do supernatural forces around her son David, and both of them are then sent on this journey that will change both of their lives and those around them forever. Right off the bat in this review, I want to cover the performance from Andy Matichack as Laura / Anna. She has like two names in this, as she has a past life and then her current life where she's like reinvented herself. And honestly, Andy Matichack, the first film I saw her in was Halloween 2018 and I thought that was a stinker, but I thought she was decent in it. But here she really shows off her acting chops. She absolutely kills it. She brings that raw emotion and that passion to this performance that it really needed, playing this mother in need who is desperate to help her child survive and just, get them through each and every night. And yeah, it was a very emotional performance from her, very raw, and she was just solid all the way through. In this film, she really stole the show for me. The film itself, it starts off very happy-go-lucky and then quickly shifts into very spooky, anxiety-filled tension, and I really loved that quick switch in tone. The director clearly knew what they were doing there. Ivan Kavanagh, the writer and director, very, very well done. The movie is well written, it is well paced, especially the first act. It kicks off with a bang and never really lets up. It lets you know within the opening shots where it's going to take you and sets up everything for this roller coaster of a ride. It's pretty much like Rosemary's Baby Part 2 if you ask me, with a little bit of Servants of the Twilight. If you are a Dean Koontz reader, you'll see lots of similarities in here. I couldn't help but actually feel that this film was actually inspired by Servants of the Twilight by Dean Koontz, and a little bit of The Institute by Stephen King as well. The other performances in the film, Emile Hirsch, who plays Paul, he's very good as well. He doesn't have too much to do, but when he is on screen, you definitely do feel his sort of confused, paranoid presence, and he's also a little bit creepy himself as well. Everyone in this film, to be honest, is a little bit creepy. Luke David Blum, who plays David, he was very good, I thought, as once again, he doesn't have too much to do. The lines he delivers aren't like smashing them out of the park or anything like that. It's not a show-stopping performance by the young kid, but kid actors, they can always be a problem in horror movies, but I thought he was really solid in this one. And when it came to the sort of body horror element of this film, his movements were really on point. He moved super spooky and creepily, almost like a spider in places, and it was reminiscent of that Linda Blair Exorcist performance. I mean, nowhere near that caliber, but the film does have those very Exorcist tones, especially in the opening 45 minutes. The cinematography itself is fantastic. The lighting, the use of wide-angle lenses to distort all the locations that the characters go to, and every single location, no matter how small it is, motel room, hotel room, hospital room, every room makes these characters seem small and vulnerable within them because of the use of this wide-angle lens that was used pretty much almost in every shot of the film. I'm pretty sure you can all see those lines distorting in every shot, and always it helps creep in that little bit of anxiety in the back of your mind. Even if it's just two characters sitting there exchanging some dialogue, there's definitely that feeling of anxiety in almost every scene, and this is duly down to the cinematography and the performances themselves. The lighting is all very practical, fluorescent lights for the hospitals, neons for outside, and there wasn't too much use of high key or low key lighting or anything like that. They really just went mostly for the practical, keeping some things in the shadows, and in the end it all really paid off because this film really did look beautiful. in the most kind of disgusting possible, drab, dreary way. You know what I mean? There was also quite a lot of gore in this, a lot of practical effects used, and I'm so happy to say they're all fantastic. Big fan of practical effects here on the channel. I know a lot of other people are here, and when all that blood and practical gore comes into it, the sound design is crunching, it's splattering, it's spluttering, it's spitting, and it just sounds good. And if you're watching this with headphones on, like pretty decent headphones like myself, you'll hear every squish and squibble, and it will make you wince with disgust. But hey, we love that here. What I will say, it commits very early on to what this main narrative and what the reality of the character's situation is, thus making any possible twists redundant, and it takes away any sense of wonder or conflict for the audience who may be sitting there thinking, what way is it going to go? It pretty much tells you straight up, probably just at the end of the first act, start of the second act, what is going on and what to expect from the rest of the film, and it takes away any surprises that could come later on. And I actually found that rather surprising, because I thought it was going to go the way of kind of like a Fractured, where it would keep you guessing right to the end, but it doesn't. It commits very early on, and in some ways it helps the movie, but in other ways I felt it did hurt it slightly. Also, there is a cult in this film. They are kept mostly to the background, and in some ways I thought that was good for them. It made them very mysterious, and you didn't know how far their influence reached in the community of where we end up in all these locations in the film. But there is very little motivations explored for the antagonists who were set up, this cult. And it was never really paid off for them in the end, as we didn't learn enough about them to understand their intentions. So motivations for the antagonists, off a little bit there, and the antagonistic supernatural force of the film. The main character, Laura/Anna herself as well, she decides on things pretty quickly. Very big, life-changing moral decisions. She makes them pretty snappy. And she gets over things pretty easy as well. I think if we saw more conflict in our character, we could have empathised and connected with her more. I still did like her due to Matichack's performance, but I think if we saw a little bit more conflict in her, we could have ended up liking her even more, and it could have impacted us a lot more in the climax. There's some very good editing and very cool transitions, and the film had a very solid score that really gave it that dread-inducing feel throughout, you know, that this was never going to go well for anyone involved. But yeah, the cool transitions, the few jump-scary transitions, I'm never really a fan of those, but I liked them here. It was very A24-esque with those transitions, so I did like them. They were rather creative and cool. The editing, you know, it let scenes breathe. There wasn't too many cuts. A couple of scenes maybe in the second half of the film, like the second act, just after the halfway point, where we're getting to some big character decisions. Maybe a couple of those scenes dragged on a little bit, but for the most part the editing is very, very well done. Also, sorry if you can hear crazy rain in the background smacking off my roof. It is a mental storm here. Adds to the spookiness of the review though, hopefully. But sorry if it's annoying you. The climax of the film itself, I felt, was a little bit predictable. As I said early on, the film does commit very early on to what is happening, and it doesn't really deviate from that. There is a couple little surprises in there at the end, but they kind of fell flat for me as I did see them coming, and I think if you've been paying attention throughout the film's runtime, you'll see them coming as well. But technically, this film was honestly perfect. It looked and sounded great. It had some really spooky, creepy moments. Couple little scenes here or there that will take you by surprise. But in the end, it's something we've probably seen a few times before. Doesn't really do anything too new with it, but I feel like if you are a horror lover and you want like a religious cult thriller, you'll be into this one. And there's also a nice little bit of gore for the gore lovers out there. For me myself, I did enjoy it. I just didn't think it was anything to rant and rave about. There was this weird asylum subplot that was really just in there for a character to get an address to advance the film forward. But it's actually a huge plot hole. The character who needed the address should have already known about it and didn't need to go and learn what they did. I can't say too much because it's spoiler territory, but if you've seen the film, you'll know what I'm talking about. But in the end, I enjoyed it. It's not amazing or anything like that, but if you do want a spooky midnight film to get you by, this is a decent one. I would recommend Sun. And with all that said and done, I'm going to give Sun a 3 out of 5 rating. If you've seen Sun, let me know what you made of it in the comments section down below, and if you enjoyed this review, please do leave a like. Got a couple more reviews coming up soon. I'm going to be reviewing I Am Lisa, a new werewolf revenge movie. Excited to see that one. And I'm also going to be reviewing Come True, which looks like a psychological sci-fi horror thriller type thing. So yeah, look forward to them too. If you're new here, subscribe, and as always, thank you very much for watching, and good night.